What's up guys, welcome to tutorial number 22 of the Teach to Learn challenge, where I learn something new, create something, and then make a tutorial on it. Today's topic is masking transitions.
Sometimes you're neck deep drowning in it, other things I've created were fueled by that brief moment of inspiration.
Personally, I've been pretty uncreative with these kinds of transitions. So today we're going to get a little crazy with it and explore 3 cool ways to think about these transitions and how to edit them. So if you haven't gotten the gist of what these masking transitions are, or foreground wipes, then I'm going to explain it to you real quick. These transitions happen when something in the foreground goes from one side of the screen to the other side of the screen. And as it moves, one side is masked, leading to a seamless transition. Alright, let's get started with the first type of foreground wipes. Pretend my phone is a camera, which it is. When it goes from here to here, this object becomes something that you could use a foreground wipe on. That's the transition that I always do. But what I don't think about is that you could have a foreground masking transition even when there is nothing going on. If your camera goes from here to here and there's nothing going on, there's no foreground, you could still have a foreground wipe transition, and there's 2 ways to do so. One way is if your next clip has something in the foreground, you could also do a masking transition. But what if your first clip doesn't have anything in the foreground, and your second clip doesn't have anything in the foreground? Can you still do a masking transition? And the obvious answer is yes. You'll need 3 clips. You'll need your first clip, your second clip, and a clip of a foreground. And if you think about it, it's real simple. It's actually just one extra layer of masking. In this example, I was filming by myself and I wanted a person as a foreground wipe. However, I couldn't do it because I was filming by myself. So what I did was I just stuck my arm in front of the gimbal and went like this. And then I masked out my arm, and now my arm was the object of the foreground wipe. So those are the 3 ways to think about foreground wipes, and let's get into Premiere Pro where I'm going to show you how to edit them. Here's my Premiere Pro editing timeline, and I'm going to break down this transition right here that you saw earlier. So to create this masking transition, you want to go into the clip, and under effects, you want to play with the free draw Bezier. Now this is my mask path from before. As you can see, as the laptop moves into frame, I mask it accordingly. So this is how it looks without a mask path. Now I'm going to start at the first frame, and we're going to press this Bezier, press mask path, and this is really important, otherwise all your work is going to be lost, and I've done this countless times. So you want to draw a square and close out the mask path. There you go. And then let's move it by 1 frame, and follow the laptop. Keep going until the laptop covers the entire screen. And that's how you do a masking transition. You could also drag this, and that might be easier to move. But regardless, you're gonna have to do this frame by frame, and it might take some time. So when you're done, you could play with the mask feather. And this softens up the edge so it looks less jarring in your transition. And that's it. That's your transition, and here's the finished outcome. Now let's look into the third transition, which gets a little tricky, where we superimpose a foreground for a foreground wipe. I want to use my forearm as a transition, so here's a clip we're going to break down. So without this layer, here's what it looks like. So I masked the laptop out so that it fits this foreground wipe transition. So I nested it earlier, and here's how it looks. So only difference here, as you can see, is that I masked out both sides. And there you guys have it. That's the third type of foreground transitions. And I actually do it here as well, where I go through the floor. Because this layer covers the entire screen and you don't have two clips showing at once, I really didn't have to do too much masking at all. This is what the foreground layer looks like. I'm going to create a color matte and make it white just so that it's more obvious for you guys. That's what it looks like. But even without this masking transition, take a look. It looks pretty convincing already. And that about sums it up. Alright, there you go. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys get real creative with it. If you have any suggestions for topics, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys for the next tutorial.